Back here on SportsLine here on News Channel 5+. Don't forget Buck Reising from 104.5 The Zone and A to Z Sports will join us at the bottom of the hour to talk some Titans. But we continue our Preds post-mortem, if you will, after they lost in the first round of the playoffs, getting swept by the Colorado Avalanche 4-0. We, before the break, heard from Philip Forsberg, and of course, he one of many great individual performances by the Preds this year, along with Roman Josi and UC Saros. And of course, the man we're about to hear from right now, Matt Duchene, who had a monster year, and ever since the Predators traded for him a couple of years ago, hasn't quite lived up to all the hype of being one of the better goal scorers in the NHL. But this year, he certainly had his by far best season here in Nashville, over 40 goals, along with Forsberg. So again, the Preds had two 40-goal scorers this year. Matt Duchene certainly disappointed about how the season ended, but no doubt feeling good about his individual season. Here's Matt Duchene.
There's a lot of great things from the season, a lot of things to be grateful for and look back on. It's tough to kind of think about right now after, that playoff series. Obviously didn't go the way that we wanted. We didn't play at the level, especially in game 1 and 2, that I think we're capable of. I think the last 2 games, I think, easily could have gone our way. I think, I thought we were good enough to win those 2, the last 2, but we put ourselves, behind the 8 ball early on in Denver. Even if we're able to steal game 2, you never know. But I think it's, it'll take a few days to, for things to sink in and us to kind of get over it. But that's kind of where we're at.
What you didn't live up to your own expectations to have the year that you did?
Well, I think opportunity first and foremost. I think that was something that was given to me this year, and you have to earn it every day, but sorry. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
All right, Don. Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, guys. Yeah. I think, the coaching staff put that kind of faith in a lot of us to do that and kind of be the players we could be, and I think it was up to us to take it and run with it from there.
How many real tough conversations did you not have throughout the course of time you've been here? Because it seemed like your guys' relationship has come to a good, not that it was in a bad place, I'm not suggesting that, but it seemed like you guys are in a really good place now. And were there tough conversations along the way for you as a player? Is that sometimes hard to grasp or accept?
We had a really good one at the start of the year, and they were always really positive and very it was never confrontational, never awkward, never any of that. It was just trying to figure out what we needed from each other. And I think for me coming in, it was kind of a wild ride right off the bat. We had a coaching change mid-season, my first year. COVID hits, go to the bubble. Last year's a shortened season. I'm hurt for 7.5 weeks. There's a lot of stuff that went on, and I think it just took a while to kind of figure, probably for him to figure out, the best way to, I think, to coach me as an individual. And I mean, it was several guys. I think he was just learning us as individuals, and we were learning him as a coach. And I think it definitely clicked this year, and it was great all year. I mean, we have an awesome, I've always had a great relationship, but I think this year it was like, I think we just, trusted each other a lot more, and just weren't kind of wondering where each other stood this year. So it was good that way.
Matt, obviously, Roman was talking about the 4-0 gap, and obviously there's a gap between you guys and Colorado. How do you go about closing that, and what are your thoughts on kind of the direction that you guys are headed as a team?
Well, I think it was good for us to see, where a team like that's at and play them firsthand and see what makes them successful. They're a team that's been kind of building that for, a long time, but it's really come to fruition probably the last 5-6 years for them, and we're kind of maybe at the beginning of kind of that transition that they started to make around that time. So I think just their style of game, their confidence, the way they make plays, but still play really good two-way hockey. I think there's a lot you can learn from where they're at right now and where teams like them are at, and I think I know it should make all of us really hungry going in the summer for sure.
Now, what do you think as a team you guys didn't play as well the last month or so?
I think we got away from being aggressive and being. I think we got a little conscious of our situation, and we wanted to make the playoffs so bad, and we wanted to be, in that race, that I think we maybe got a little conscious of where we were at and got away from the process and were worried a bit more about the result. Yeah, we definitely didn't play our best hockey near the end of the year, and we didn't play our best hockey in the playoffs until we played pretty well in Game 3 and 4, and unfortunately, that probably should have been Game 1 and 2, and then we build more from there. Come home, and then hopefully, I know if we played again today, we'd be even better than yesterday. So we started to find it, but it was a little bit too late. But hard to put your finger on it. I think we're a young team. We got a lot of guys that have never played an 82 game schedule until this year. So there's a lot to learn and a lot to build from, and I'm excited about the future of this team for sure.
Matt, you were one of several guys that had career-type years, record numbers this season. Can you repeat that as a collective next year? And if that's maybe unrealistic, what do you have to do to take the next step as a team?
Well, that's the idea, is to repeat it. I think this should be the baseline for all of us. I think, a guy like Yost getting 96 points as a D-man, I mean, that might be I think I could see him doing it again, but if it was a one-off in terms of that high of production, I mean, it's still an amazing thing to hang your hat on. I mean, his first guy to score 90 points since the early 90s. I mean, it doesn't happen very often. So, but in terms of Phil and I and Granny and Joe and guys, I think there's still room for improvement and ways to go. And I know, maybe you don't hit the same numbers, but that doesn't mean your game's still not there. And that doesn't. There's lots of things you can continue to improve on. And I think as a team, we're just going to continue to get more experience and just get better as we go.
Pat, do you have conversations with Phil? Obviously, you guys together on the ice this year were so dynamic, and he's got a decision to make this offseason. Do you talk to him a lot? Do you leave him alone? How do you go about handling that? A
bit of both. I think I try and weigh in my opinion or my experience, I should say, with when I was a free agent and what I made the decision on. He's got a little bit more time, and he's thinking about re-signing with the current team he's on, which was my situation was a little different. But for him, it's never easy. But we'd love to have him back. Obviously, that goes without saying.
Any wagers or trash talk between? I mean, you guys are going at it all year long. Any friendly stuff?
Yeah, no, nothing like that. I told him actually after the last game, I actually was hoping he was going to score and we're going to share that franchise record. But I guess I wasn't able to set him up well enough that game for it. So that's on me, I guess.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Matt Duchene, one of 2 40-goal scorers this year for the Nashville Predators. Actually, it was Duchene that ended up with one more goal than Forsberg, so he holds the all-time single-season record for most goals scored. These are the first 2 40-goal scorers in one season in Nashville Predators franchise history. So, again, great individual seasons by Matt Duchene with the 40 goals. Philip Forsberg with the 40 goals. Roman Josi, the defenseman, 96 points. You heard Duchene say most by an NHL defenseman, most points in a season by an NHL defenseman in quite a long time. Got to go back to the early 90s for that. And their goaltender, UC Saros, just named a finalist for the Vezina Trophy in this, his first full season as being the #1 goaltender for the Preds, of course, after Pekka Rinne retired. So you look at all that individual success. Unfortunately, this is a team that stumbled as a team really ever since the All-Star break and stumbled down the stretch. And, of course, you think back to that final regular season game in Arizona against a bad Arizona Coyotes team. All they needed to do was get 1 point. They would be the top wild card seed, and they would play the Calgary Flames as opposed to the Colorado Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs. But they blew a 4-goal first-period lead, lost in regulation. That allowed the Dallas Stars to leapfrog them for the #1 wild card spot. And they're in a competitive series right now with the Calgary Flames that could have been the Nashville Predators, who instead draw the mighty Colorado Avalanche, by far the top team in the West, probably the top team in the NHL. And, of course, they're swept out the door in 4 straight games. So a bit of a crossroads year coming up for the Nashville Predators in terms of their future, how they attack it. Do they go for the full rebuild? Do they try to do the competitive rebuild? How aggressive will David Poile be in free agency once that free agency period begins? And, of course, what is the future of Philip Forsberg? All right, time for our second break. We come back. We're going to switch gears, talk Titans with one of the best in Nashville when it comes to covering and talking about the Tennessee Titans. Buck Reising from 104.5 The Zone, and of course A to Z Sports will join us via Zoom. Stay with us here on SportsLine.